What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Oh So Simplified, coming to you with a video here about recreating yourself. It's actually law number 5 of the 48 laws of power, I believe. No, that's guard your reputation. Law 25 of the 48 laws of power. Like, comment, subscribe, dislike if you didn't like, comment, whatever feedback will do. I'm also going to combine another video that I shot but never posted to this, so let's just jump right into this. So recreate yourself. This is coming for me from the standpoint that I'm making a lot of changes, one with this channel, also trying to make a lot of changes in terms of into my life, in terms of where I see myself in 5 to 10 years, so to speak. So this will start with your motivation. So this was the last video that I made, like what was your motivation, and this came from a comment on my previous video. And I figured I'd give a longer explanation here in terms of what's my motivation, but also what's your motivation. So in terms of like building out, this channel, and something that has been on my mind for like the better part of a decade, is really that I think we all deep down kind of know what our inclinations are, things that we want to do. And this can be in any realm. I think it's, using Robert Greene as a rubric. This could be stuff that happened fairly early on in your childhood that you had a knack for. But you have these desires of how you want to live, who you want to be. And when you have this type of motivation or this voice inside of you, you have two options. You can listen to it or you can shut it out. I think it'll always come to the surface. It's just how long can you deny it? And for me, I'm pretty open to my inner voice. I do a lot of things that, in my adult life have been ill-advised, but it's always come from a place of like, I know this is what I want to do, and I know I'm going to see it through. So really, my motivation always comes back to the lifestyle that I want to live. And when I think about lifestyle, I think about how am I spending my day-to-days, my, nothing days, so to speak. The days that are not, nothing crazy happens. How do I want to spend those days? I think a lot of times people think about monumental moments, and I think society kind of puts us into this like destination mindset. But it's almost like, what trek do you want to have? What journey do you want to have? Not where do you want to go as an end point. So that is kind of the thought on motivation. And that ties into the first point on recreating yourself, which is deciding who you are and who you want to be. And what this is kind of like your guiding star or your compass. And I like to think of the metaphor more as a compass than a destination, because things can always change, but you know what direction you're heading in general. And with this, there's like a few things that you can obviously do. First is to look at it more from like a destination point of view of like, if I were to plot a dot on a map, like where am I headed in general? Where do I want to go? Now, maybe, things will change as you get closer to that destination, that you'll make a reroute. But what direction do I have to head? And then simply creating the different steps to get to that point. Now, that's the easy part, is like the general plan. I think most people can create great plans. I definitely think I'm somebody that falls into this, that I can create all these different plans. But really, the money, so to speak, is made in the execution. So actually executing on the plans that you set forth. And if, at least at the time of this video, because I'm probably going to delete a lot of videos, I have tons of videos where you see me, imagining things into the future that, let's just be honest, I've never fully actually brought to fruition. And that's because the planning phase is a lot easier than the acting phase. And really what generally jumps in front of the acting phase is your old identity. And this is why you have to decide who you want to be, who you are, what that represents, and the steps to go in that direction. And then that's going to jump into the second point, which is stripping the old identity. And it's this idea that what got you here will not take you there. So in order to make any type of jump, there are new things you're going to have to take on. In order to make any type of forward progress, you're going to have to move from the spot that you're at. And with this is going to come, one, new problems, but generally to even get to that new state, you're going to have new habits. And this is where I think that a lot of the times when we come up with these plans and we can think about a New Year's resolution to lose weight, nobody doesn't understand that you need to go to the gym and eat a healthy diet. Now we can get into semantics about what's the best diet and what's the best workout plan, but if you never got to the gym and you never changed what you ate, it really doesn't matter which one you were following, because you didn't follow any of them. And with that being said, that's really where the execution comes in, and comes to stripping out your old identity. That you really have to, and this is where it's like, it might take a little bit of meditation, sitting with yourself alone, and really get into what is holding you back. Is it distractions of other people? Distractions of a relationship? Distractions of like addictions? Distractions of procrastination? What is the thing that's actually holding you back? I think The War of Art and Turning Pro, as the specific book that talks about this, by Stephen Pressfield, has the best metaphor for it when he talks about resistance and this force that you wake up with every day that's like pulling you away from what you ultimately need to do. And I think that's really where the rubber meets the road, and where most people fall, is that they aren't fed up enough. And you can use MJ DeMarco. He has this fuck this moment and fuck this event that he talks about, FTMs and FTEs. And what an FTM is just basically a moment that's so profound that you cannot go back to the old self, and you have to make a change. And this could be something like, you know, getting laid off in the pandemic could be an FTM for some people, but it also could be an FTE. So FTM, the difference is that this changes you profoundly forever. You are a different person. Your identity, it's already stripped away these pieces, or made you have a commitment to strip away these pieces. FTE is it gives you a glimpse, and you say, this is what I want to do, and maybe for some period of time you change your actions, but you go back to these old habits. And I don't think you necessarily need one in particular, but I do think it kind of builds up where you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you say, I need to move from point A to point B, and in order to get from point A to point B, I need to strip out all of the things that are holding me back. And this, I think, is the hardest part. This is really where most people falter, because once you create a routine or a lifestyle, there is a comfort in that, even if it has negative aspects to it. It's not always a positive thing that's bringing you quote unquote joy, but things being familiar brings a lot of solace to just like the human condition in general. So even if you're like going, you know, day to day, you're doing something you don't like, you're around people you don't like, you know, live somewhere where you don't like, if those are all parts of your condition, but you live it day in and day out, you don't have to question what you need to do to make something different. But if you start thinking, you know, I want a better job, I want to be around better people, I want to be in a better place, this is now going to force you to, one, be in circumstances where additional things can happen. More positive things can happen, but more negative things can happen. If you're saying, you know, using the job part first, looking for a new job, you can be rejected. You can embarrass yourself. Now you have to think about what to wear, what to do. If you're in a negative relationship, there might be a period of time when you're lonely. If you let go of this relationship, you might miss the person. As well as putting yourself back on the scene might, you know, face rejection, face awkward moments. Finding a place, same thing. You're going to have some money, spend some money, you know, look at places, meet people, and do these things. And generally, those changes to your day-to-day routine is what's holding you back from the life that you want to live. And even in my life, when I look at this, there are things that I know that if I were to remove, would give me a way better shot. Now, I've removed some of them. That's why you see me way more consistent this year than other years before. And I think I had an FTM with what happened with, you know, the previous employer before. Don't want to get into that. That's actually part of the reason why I'm removing some of the videos, because I think I was a little bit too open with certain things, you know, at this juncture where I'm still doing, you know, balancing both, working a career while trying to, you know, make videos. Don't want to say things that I want to be taken out of context, but I digress. But stripping away yourself and really going deep and looking at everything and really making the decision of, is what I decided in the first step, deciding who you are and who you want to be, really who I want to be, and am I willing to make the sacrifices and changes and give up parts of my old self that I might enjoy in order to possibly get the joy on the other side? Because that's the other thing, there are no guarantees. It's like, I like fighting, obviously, I bet you this many times, but Joseph Benavidez, who actually, I don't think he ever captured a title, but in his last fight, I really liked what he said, and it was like, we train so hard and make all these sacrifices for the opportunity to win a championship. Not to win the championship, for the opportunity. That still can go down in that negative way, or in the way that you don't want, which he ended up getting choked out by Deiveson Figueiredo. And I just thought that was very profound, that like, you have to be willing to make all these sacrifices with the idea that within your lifetime, or just not in the cards, these things don't play out the way that you saw. And that's why, once again, it's like the compass mentality, that I'm sure Joseph Benavidez still has like a wonderful life. He could obviously coach anywhere he wanted. He could still be part of the sport. He just never gets to have that, you know, UFC champion moniker held up. But, you know, there's different options there. So that's number 2, is really being able to strip away your identity for the opportunity to really chase the person that you want to be and be that ultimately. And the last part is really this idea that I really got from like Neville Goddard, Joe Dispenza, even Ichiro Kashimi and Fumitake Koga, for The Courage to Be Disliked and The Courage to Be Happy. And this idea of, and I'm combining multiple thoughts, so this is kind of going to be my thought. Neither of them say it like this, but it's living the life you want to live now and believing in it now. So as I combine the different ways of thinking, there's energies and frequencies, like everything's in vibration. So from like the more like esoteric knowledge standpoint and quantum physics aspect, when your vibration and frequency meets the frequency and vibration of the future you want to have, that's when things start to appear. This is kind of the idea of like the law of attraction and things like that, that you're actually attracting things to you because you're on a certain frequency vibration, that when it matches, you connect, and then that's what happens. So Neville Goddard, a lot of what he talks about is that living in the dream fulfilled, that when you believe that you're there, you feel the feelings of the success you want or the things you want to have, you will actually pull that experience towards you. Joe Dispenza talks about this too, that when you are feeling and thinking and believing in the frequency that's of your future, you will pull that to you. And this also works obviously in the negative as well. And then this idea of lifestyle, from The Courage to Be Disliked and Courage to Be Happy, that every single day you get to choose how you live your lifestyle. You can wake up and make whatever choices. Now obviously, you know, you have a job, you have different engagements, like you need to go there, but everything else, and even that to an extent, but everything else around that, you can make decisions not to watch TV, play video games, and do something else, or, you know, go to the gym instead of eating, you know, a freaking Big Mac, things of that sort, just to kind of give you simple examples. But this idea that you should not wait to live the life that you want to live or feel the feelings you want to have and believe that it's going to work out. Now, I'm not saying to just like lay on a beach and just kick your feet up and not do anything. You still need to make actions, but make actions as if this couldn't fail. This is going to go right. You think this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Believe in it as in, I know this is going to work because everything has worked out in my life. Now, I don't know. That might not be your experience. For me, everything I've ever believed in and put full effort into has worked out in some capacity. Maybe not the way I exactly envisioned it, just like that thing I described with Joseph Benavidez. But I put, for example, in high school, I put a ton into wrestling. Like, I really tried my best to be the best wrestler I could be. And I didn't place in states. I didn't win in states. I didn't get to wrestle in college. But now somehow it brought me all the way back to where I'm doing MMA, and in my 30s I'm competing in MMA, and I'm having this experience now that, you know, all that effort I put in high school was not in vain. It brought me back to this point. So sometimes things don't work out the way that you see them working out, but they work out in a capacity in general. So that's really it for this one. I'm going to be making so many changes to this channel. I'm probably going to rename it, as I mentioned before, delete videos, and have a whole different trajectory of things. I've been making a lot of plans, stripping out a lot of things in my life to become the person I want to be. And then also I'm going to be creating 2 additional channels. So this might be the last video. I might have one more video next week. I'm trying to launch everything by the beginning of next week, but not sure, not going to make any promises. The only promise I'm going to make is that I'm going to spend every day trying to improve and get better and work towards this. If you want to jump on the journey with me, feel free. If you like the content, like it, comment, subscribe. Any feedback will do. Until next time, you know what it is. Peace.